Hello, you gorgeous people. Today I will be doing a Valentine's look with my Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes. I want to do a series for the month of February that shows just different types of looks that you can wear for Valentine's Day, Galentine's Day. It doesn't matter, really doesn't. I just love the feel, the aesthetic, all of it. And I want to use my Blend Bunny Cosmetics palettes. I'm going to combine these two. This is the Blend Bunny Sugar and Grunge palette. This one is a very grungy, colorful palette. And the Sickly Sweet palette. This one has a lot of pastels, is a little more chaotic. This video is, however, a part 2 of my experience as a travel nurse, my first year in actually. And if you're watching this one, you're kind of coming in halfway through where I talk about everything I've learned going from staff nurse to travel nurse. Ooh, this is a Ace Beauté primer. I did not actually buy this. I think this was given to me as a sample. I haven't discussed a whole lot because it's so much to go through, and quite honestly, I could save that for other videos, but also it would make this one just so long, and that one too. So long, nobody would pay attention to it at some point, and I don't want to bore you. The first palette I'm going to start with is the Sugar and Grunge palette, and what I would like for this one is just to kind of use these berry tones over here on the outside. I'm going to start off with the deeper shade. Well, no, I lied. I'm actually going to start off with Flannel and put that all over my crease. I think what I did was I left off talking about the fact that when I met well, not new because they have already been there, other travelers as a new travel nurse myself, I ended up getting to learn their secrets, so to speak, what they do to negotiate pay, what they do to negotiate time off, how they manage their travel expenses, and then looking for a place to stay, if they are renting or if they just stay at a hotel, all the ins and outs, things that I didn't actually know before traveling. I kind of went into it a little bit blind, and the story to that is in the previous video, so I won't really go back into it too much other than I needed a change of pace in my life. Not every company has the same contract with that hospital, and not every nurse, even with that company, is going to get the same rate. So I could, let's say, work for the company I'm with, and my best friend could too. We both want to go to the same hospital, but we could negotiate a separate pay, a different pay, and not be making the same amount of money. Now, that would suck, and I would not be fond of that at all. But that's the reality of it. And when you talk to other nurses, some of them keep it kind of hush-hush, and that's not how I feel I want to be. If that's you and that's what you want, I mean, more power to you. But I believe that knowledge is power, and I would like to share with other nurses. It also helps in general overall the market, because if we talk about pay that could be higher or is too low and come together as a group and realize that we could be making more, we negotiate more as a group, you make more. Hopefully that makes sense. I also started working, and I'm not sure if I mentioned in my other video, at a local hospital. Now you're thinking, travel nurse, local, like, really? Oh, I'm serious. I mean, the best part about being a travel nurse is you can still work locally, and that gives me the advantage of not having to be part of a bureaucracy, because that can be a very huge downside for a lot of people. And being able to still go home every night or every day, and that afforded me such a comfort, because I am a homebody, like I mentioned in my last video, and I like going home to my family. When I signed a contract with a local hospital nearby, it was a 25-minute drive, 30 during bad traffic, but I still worked nights and weekends. I was pregnant at the time, so I was doing Saturday, Sunday night, sometimes Friday, Saturday night, and Wednesday night, and I I loved that because I could stay with my kids more. I didn't have to miss out on so much time with my young one. Still could come and schedule time with my OB and felt like I wasn't missing out on a whole lot. Now, yes, traveling locally, it's kind of a conundrum. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But in the grand scheme of things, it means I'm not tied to one facility, and it means I can kind of shop around if I'm looking to go back to staffing. So I used it as, let me work for these local hospitals and see, how they run their show. And if I like it or not, maybe one day, because I don't foresee myself staying as a travel nurse, not even for much longer, maybe the next couple of years at most. And maybe I'll find one of these hospitals around here that I really, really enjoy and want to work for. So this second hospital that I worked for, I ended up absolutely loving that experience. It was the best experience even now. I'm going to switch over to a Singe EO5, and I'm going to pick up this shade here called Drew, and I'm going to pack that into my outer corner there. Every week, every day that I went to work, despite sometimes having a challenging assignment, which is not uncommon, I loved it. I had a great night most nights. One, let me put this out there, they served hot food for night shift between the hours of 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. And you cannot beat that. So when I tell you the food was good and night shift still had good food to pick from, I'm serious, it was good. They gave us such a steep discount as staff, well, even me. I would get an entire platter of food, like mashed potatoes and gravy and some vegetables and grilled chicken, and paying $3.50 at most. And that's if I weren't getting, a drink on the side and some desserts, which I didn't normally do anyway. It's looking a little crazy. Trust the process. I'm going to take that original melt brush and just kind of blend it all out. I'm not putting anything extra on my brush. I worked primarily with intermediate cardiology patients. Now that was a patient population I did not think I would be capable of handling. That population of patients really blew me away with their gratitude, their appreciation, their respect for me as a professional and their healthcare provider with their best interest at heart. 9 times out of 10, my patients and my assignments were good, really, really good. And the patient population just made it better. I had patients who would genuinely look at me and want to hold my hand and tell me how much they appreciated me. And that made me feel good as a nurse, because there were so many experiences that I've had where that was the opposite. Having to take care of someone who's not appreciative or not respectful of my time or my feelings is really draining and exhausting. So that was a nice change for me. And I went home more often, telling my husband how much more I loved work, because I could feel that respect and gratitude and appreciation from these patients, and it made it all worth it. I'm going to switch over and I'm going to take this shade Sweetheart. It's a peachy shade, all on the inside of my lid here. I'd never thought that I would be cut out for cardiology. It was my weak point in nursing school. And I apologize for my son in the background. He's 4 years old, precious. Hopefully you can tune him out. I'm really gonna pack this on because it's such a light shade. It's having a hard time showing up even on my pale skin tone. My experience at that hospital strengthened my ability to read telemetry strips, to catch warning signs, symptoms. I felt like I left that place such a better nurse, kind of rejuvenated in my emotions as well. The management at the local hospital, I really, really enjoyed them because they treated me like one of their own. They did not make me feel like I was excluded from anything. They didn't make me feel like I was an outsider. And I honestly ended up telling my recruiter after the fact that that place was so nice. Even just the fact that it was just a nice hospital. It was clean, it was organized. The whole facility rather new. I told my recruiter, I was like, I would like to extend here if they have an opening. Now, unfortunately, they did not have an opening, so that's why I ended up going somewhere else. But I was able to leave on good footing, and that makes me feel good because if I want to go back to them, I have open communication with that management, and it makes me feel like if one day I want to be staff there, I have kind of a foot in the door, so to speak. So that felt nice. I'm going to take a Sonuji brush. I'm going to pick up the shade Don't Speak. So now this place, when they said we actually do rotate our staff with our travel nurses, we do not always float the travel nurses first, they actually kept their word. I did not have an interview with them before I signed my contract. This one was just an automatic offer. I'm gonna switch over to the Sickly Sweet palette here. This is a Rougher 02. I'm gonna pick up this shade here, Ruffles. It's kind of like a pinky, peachy, gold shimmer shade there. Pay locally. You do not get a stipend. It's typically a higher rate per hour. Let me just smudge these two shades together because I want to marry them and make them look all pretty. Typically when you are doing a long distance travel, they give you a stipend, a per diem, that kind of business, and your hourly rate more often than not will be less. Now your overtime rate isn't always time and a half. A lot of the times they negotiate it to be more, so it's not going to be a standard hour and a half. Sometimes I've gotten overtime rates in my contract that are double. And many occasions, that hospital does not want you to work overtime. And especially here recently, the further post-COVID we are, you will find that they do not want you to pick up extra shifts. Now, that's different for every hospital, but the reality is you're expensive. You are expensive. I'm gonna switch back over to the Sickly Sweet palette. I'm gonna pick up this shade here, Just Peachy. And this one is gonna go in my inner corner. I'm gonna take a Rougher 12 brush. I'm not done with the lower lash line yet. I will fix that. And I'm actually just going to pack it right here into my inner corner. As the market has become saturated with travel nurses, pay has definitely taken a cut. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say post-COVID and the further we are out, that kind of business, the rates have dropped. The rates are going to continue to drop. The advice that a lot of people give you is to hold off, but not everyone is in that position to be able to hold off from accepting a contract. However, you should know that the more people who accept a lower rate, the lower these hospitals are going to end up paying you. So always keep that in mind, because if people keep taking the rates, I mean, the rates are going to just keep dropping. But everyone's situation is unique and different. I'm going to take the first shade that I used, Flannel, from the Sugar Grunge palette, and I'm going to place this right on the lower lash line. Well, not lower lid. I'm going to use a Singe 01 brush. This is one of my favorite brushes, actually, because of the point, tapered. I'm just going to pack it right here along the lash line and smudge it into that pastel. I'm just using this powder to diffuse that entire corner. This part became a little patchy. This is a new primer for me, so that might have something to do with it. I'm going to take a ColourPop cream liner. This is in the shade Honey Nude. I'll warm it up on my hand a little bit. I'm going to put this in my waterline. I'm going to just tightline my eye here. It's really hard for me to do this on camera because I need to see. That is it for this look. I finished it off with a pair of lashes from Juvia's Place. This is the Nubian lash in the style Kush. I did have to trim them. These are quite a bit longer than my eye. And I stabbed myself in the eye with my mascara. I felt like I was gonna have to yank my eyeball out. It smeared all underneath my eye. In fact, this left eye of mine is still watering. It's kind of watering all the way down, so my eyeshadow is kind of smudging quite a bit. These two palettes make great companion palettes. I love Blend Bunny. Maggie really knows how to put together a palette, and her formula is divine. For full disclosure, everything on my face will be linked in the description box down below. Thank you to Martina Lily here on YouTube for helping me get my links set up. I do earn a small commission if you do decide to use them. You definitely do not have to. Thank you so much for watching up until this point. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm so excited to do more Valentine's Day looks. It's one of my favorite. I feel so vampy glam. Thank you guys. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. Do something for yourselves today because you are worth it.